This is the best way to cook a chicken. A little bit of fat, lots of flavor, and lots of crisp.
Big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
There must be 100 ways to cook a chicken. And of course, one of my favorite ways to cook chicken is to do it on a barbecue. I even have a special method to cook chicken wings. First, I dry the chicken wings in the barbecue at a temperature of 90 degrees Celsius to get that skin nice and dry like parchment. Then I season the chicken wings, set up my barbecue for a high temperature, and roast the chicken wings until they're crisp. And that gives me the best crisp on a chicken wing every time. And then of course you can add more flavor to it by just tossing it in whatever flavor style you prefer. To me, there's no dispute about that being the best way to cook chicken wings. But what's the best way to get a good fried chicken? Well, that is what I'm going to show you today. To me, a good fried chicken starts with a marinade. And that marinade starts with buttermilk. Buttermilk is going to make the chicken taste more tender, and it's going to give it a rich, creamy feel. About a cup will do. The next ingredient is a pickle brine, and it's not called a pickle brine for nothing. Have you ever heard of the pickle jar chicken? Basically everything you want for a good brine. The balance is perfect, and that is why all you have to do is pick your favorite one. But about half a cup will do. And here's maybe the most important thing, and that is the seasoning for the chicken. Because the buttermilk and the brine is the basis, and then to add the seasoning, like in my case the chicken seasoning, that is going to transform this chicken till the ultimate chicken. 4 tablespoons will do the job. Whisk that up, do a quick taste test. Oh, that is perfect. And of course, the most important part is the chicken. I've got some chicken thighs here, and what I want you to be looking for is the color of the meat. Look at how beautiful dark red the meat of the chicken is. Yes, you don't want white chicken. You want meat with color, because color is flavor. And the next thing that I'm looking for is it cleaned properly? And do we have a little bit of fat? That fat on that chicken thigh is going to make it amazing. Once you got all those boxes checked, just slide it into the brine, get it all up in there. And you need everything to be submerged, and you need everything to be fully opened up and exposed to the brine. Cover it up with some foil, and when you're applying foil, make sure you go down to the fluid. Press out the air, creating an airtight seal. And now this goes into the fridge for at least 4 hours, and preferably overnight. We're also going to need something like a sauce to put on the chicken. And the reason that we need to have the sauce is because it brings everything together. Because it's going to be like a light greasy batter on top of it, you really want something that mellows that out. So what I'm going to do is make a sauce with a little bit of mayonnaise, and then add 1/3 of vinegar, 2 teaspoons of dill, and 2 teaspoons of Texas barbecue seasoning, which you can replace with salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. There we go. Mix it up. Give it a good shake. And that, my friends, is the ultimate fried chicken sauce. Oh, perfect. After 4 hours, remove the foil. Lay down a couple of trays. In the first tray, I'm going to put all-purpose flour. That's going to be the first layer in the breading station. In the second tray, I'm going to crack some eggs. And in the third one, we're going to put some breadcrumbs. If you want, you can add a little bit of seasoning to the breadcrumbs, spicing things up. Make sure you mix it in. And of course, I'm going to beat the eggs. Make sure we don't have any chunky bits in them. And now we have our breading station all sorted, ready to go. And then of course, we need something to fry in. And that's going to happen on the Napoleon Sizzle Zone. Switch it on. Now you have the option to raise the grate, and that's going to create a height difference between the pan and the fire. Because you got to keep in mind that Sizzle Zone, it can go up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Insane heat. I'd rather not have that with oil. Of course, I'm going to be using the Pitmasterix cast iron pan, hand polished. That is going to go on the fire. I'm going to turn it on, and in the barbecue here I have some homemade beef tallow that are preheated. Put that in my skillet. I'm going to let that beef tallow come up to a temperature of 160 degrees Celsius. You see, I want that chicken to fry properly, which means we're going to cook it and we're going to crispen it up. And that requires a lower temperature than the 180 you would normally fry at. The time's rising fast. I'm going to set the gas to the lowest setting, keeping the temperature at about 140 degrees Celsius. Back to our breading station. Let that chicken drip out, and look at that. The chicken soaked up the marinade. Don't worry if it's not dry, because that first layer we're going to cover with flour. Now you could fry it as it is with just a little bit of flour, but we're going to get it extra crispy, which means we're going to put on another layer. And therefore, we're gonna go to the breadcrumbs. Of course, we need the egg to help the breadcrumbs to stick to the chicken, and then tap it off. Make sure we got a nice and even breading, and then dip it in the beef tallow. And that is what you call a shallow fry. And the flip is really something you have to keep in mind when doing a shallow fry, because the temperature at the bottom of the skillet is always going to be higher than the temperature in the top of the skillet. Of course, I gotta make sure I got the core temperature right in my chicken. And I can see that the lowest temperature is 50 degrees Celsius, but I really like the golden brown of the crust, so I'm gonna transfer it to the rack. So even though my chicken isn't cooked yet, I'm gonna place it on the rack, because now I'm going to just fire up my grill and then set it to the lowest setting with all burners on and transfer the chicken to the barbecue. That's going to give the crust the opportunity to dry up, let the fat drip out, and let the chicken thigh continue to cook to a core temperature of 75 degrees Celsius. And the story continues with the rest of the chicken. With the last one now going into the barbecue, let's close that. I'm going to switch off the gas. And the interesting thing is that the crust on the chicken gets better if we leave it a little longer in the barbecue. Because the beef tallow will actually drip out of that crust into the barbecue. That's going to make the eating experience of the chicken a lot better. Much lighter and less heavier. Now I'm going to take the ones that I put on the first. It's now at a core temperature far over 75 degrees Celsius. And personally, I like to now sprinkle it with a little bit of cayenne pepper. But this is definitely optional. You don't have to do this if you don't like the heat. Personally, I find that it makes it a little bit more interesting, and the chicken goes on to the sandwich. I like a slice of pickle, and of course a little bit of our homemade fried chicken sauce. Whoop-de-doo, my favorite time of the day. Cheers. That's so tasty, so good. I don't know if you can see this, but this chicken is so juicy on the inside. The cayenne's not too spicy, the pickles are perfect relief together with our rich and creamy sauce, the crunch of the chicken and the juicy inside. There is no way that there is a better shallow fried chicken sandwich. And if there is, I need to know about it. Put it down below in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Until then, see you guys next time. Cheers. I didn't say grill. I'm just so obsessed with this sandwich. So good.